All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Monitor APM weekly meeting. So we'll start on the agenda. Normally I won't do this, but we added kind of based on Nadia's suggestion, we added a read-only section. So read that first, and we won't be covering that, but I think that's a great idea and a good way to kind of add things to agendas for people to see. So look at that, and then we'll kind of go into the actual agenda here. So Nadia, if you have the first one.
Yep, I'll kick it off. Hi, everyone. So quite a few of you participated in the discussions around our vision for metrics, for how the dashboards can be edited, the differences between default and custom dashboards, and kind of how should we treat them in the UI, and so on and so forth. So as the outcome of all of those amazing discussions, which you can check out in the issue description that I linked here in the agenda, you can see the whole summary there. We have a whole bunch of kind of ideas summarized, and also a lot of follow-up issues. So we've defined the MVC improvements that don't require us to really change anything about how we treat the default versus custom dashboards, but just by changing how we present the actions in the UI, we can really improve the user experience, just to make it more clear what you can do with the dashboard. And we can provide the user a path towards creating new dashboards from the UI as well, just by linking to the YAML file, for example. So Dove and I are proposing that we work on that in the nearest future. And then there are also lots of design issues that are linked in the planning issue that I'll be working on in 13.2. So some of those improvements, like improving the experience for adding a metric, designing the chart builder slash preview, things like that. So you can have a look at the specific issues. I'll be working on that, and we will be implementing those improvements over the next few iterations. We also had some really cool discussions around the longer term. Yeah, sure. Actually, before I move on to that, totally, I can share some of the designs. So I can share with you the designs that we want to work on in the nearest future. So what do those changes look like? Let me share my screen. Okay, so we're not really changing anything about how any of our dashboards work. The only intention here in this iteration is to make it easier for the user to access metric settings and to create a new dashboard. One interesting change that we're planning is to give the user an option to create a dashboard by duplicating the current dashboard. So the idea is that duplicating the dashboard is part of the create a dashboard flow. It's just, instead of creating a dashboard from scratch, you can duplicate the current dashboard and kind of use it as a template and go from there. So we want to do that. And so yeah, so we want to do that for the custom dashboards as well. For default dashboards, the user can add a metric. For custom dashboards, the user can edit the dashboard. And we're also providing some more helpful tooltips along the way. And in the 13.2 design issues, I will also be working on defining more helpful alerts throughout the whole metrics experience. So all of these things are meant to help guide the user through editing their dashboards or creating new dashboards. So yeah, this MVC iteration is pretty straightforward. We're basically just surfacing these actions in the UI. Any questions or any ideas, suggestions about this iteration? No? Cool. Okay.
I just want to add that
Mhm.
I think it was a very good discussion that we had. It was like a big, I think it's a big step toward making our solution, our monitoring solution better. This is one of the big things that I would like us as a team to tackle in the future iterations. So I think it makes sense that we had like an epic and then a design, which was like a design/discuss issue. And out of that, there will be like multiple design issues. So I know that we need to think about MVC, and this is also something that I want to add, because this was a big thing that now we have like more things that came out of it. So like we didn't had like an MVC for this iteration, but given the scale of this project, I think it makes sense. Now we need to tone down a bit and think about the MVC approach, okay? And this is what we need to focus on and make sure we don't over-engineer the feature. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I will actually share my screen again to show you another thing that I think was very interesting. So let me just make it full screen. So we explored a lot of different ideas for what the first time metrics experience should look like. And again, we face the obstacle of being unable to make the out-of-the-box dashboard exactly the same in terms of functionality and how it works as any other dashboard, because we think that this would be the ideal experience, the most straightforward for the user. Yeah, you can have the out-of-the-box dashboard, but you still probably want to build upon them. You want to make them your own, adjust them to your needs. But we can't have that right now. So we want to do that in the future, but we can't have that right now. So our idea around kind of to go around that is to make the out-of-the-box dashboards read-only, to simplify that. Okay, we have these out-of-the-box dashboards, but they are read-only, and you can duplicate them, kind of use them as a template to build upon them. It's not super easy to make it obvious in the UI, to make sure that it's clear to the user right away that they are read-only. And then it kind of seems like we're still using them as a template. So the way for the user to build upon them is to duplicate them and use them as a template. So then there's this whole idea of having a template library for the dashboards, which could also be a part of the metrics first time experience. So when you enable metrics, when you land on your home page for the first time, you could see a fully set up out of the box dashboard. But unfortunately, right now it's read only. Or you could have like a list of a bunch of templates that you can maybe preview. And I made some visionary mockups for that just to kind of illustrate the idea. And then you can take one of the templates that you think is interesting, that meets your needs, and then you can move forward with that. And we could even streamline the whole metric experience further for first-time users by building Prometheus configuration into this experience. So as a user, when I land into metrics for the first time, like I've never opened the metrics page and I open it for the first time, it's always much better to see something, to see some dashboards, or to see that it's very easy to get started rather than to just see like an empty state and then I have to configure something, I have to configure Prometheus, go through all those steps. And in the meantime, I haven't really seen what metrics look like and what they can do for me. So we explored some of those ideas, how to create a better first-time experience for metrics users. So the short-term vision is to make the default or out-of-the-box dashboards read-only, and to make it very clear to the user that they are read-only, to provide them with some, to propose some next steps, like what can they do next, how can they explore metrics further. And then we also explored the long-term idea of having a template library, dashboard template library. So Dove and I had a little chat about yesterday, and I think we both agreed that it's a really good goal to have for the long term. But it would probably be very difficult, or it would be a lot of effort. It will be a lot of effort to get there. But it's really exciting that we're already talking about it and having this, and we're thinking about what it could look like, because we can start to slowly move towards that. And I know that a few of you had some great ideas around this and proposed that we use templates in the metrics experience. So if you have any more ideas around it, there's an issue to explore this. I linked it. I believe I linked it in the agenda.
I do want to mention that the templating approach seems like a very common paradigm at GitLab now, so it may not be as complicated as we think to get something out the door.
Yeah, totally. It's just it's not something we can address in like the next milestone or two, and we really want to fix the broken parts of the experience now. But I agree. I think it would be a great experience to offer to our users.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Q3.
I think that it's more this experience is more relevant if you have a lot of out-of-the-box dashboard. Right now we have only one, and if we will work on what we planned, then I mean, some users may complain that, hey, I don't want to see this dashboard, but we have a way out of it by customizing the landing page, so every customer can customize its own dashboard. So when you have like one or two out-of-the-box dashboard, it's not the inconvenience is not that big, and I think that working with importing and like dashboard gallery makes more sense if you have like more dashboards. If you have like 10, 20, 30 out-of-the-box dashboard, then it makes sense to have a gallery that is open, and okay, now I have like 30 dashboard and I need to choose and select rather than having one. Also, it is more annoying if you have like 30 dashboards that are out of the box and you don't have this gallery. And why do I need all those dashboards now? I need to work on like filtering them out. So I think we are at the stage today where our short-term goal aligned to where we are at today, but where we want to be in Q3, Clement. So it's something that we can maybe work on as a long-term goal, basically.
Yeah, and if you have any ideas around any of the proposed improvements, either for the MVC that we're going to work on in the next milestone, and then I will be tagging you on the designs that I work on to get your feedback as well throughout 13.2. And if you have any more specific ideas around the role of dashboard templates in the experience and how we can, leverage it the most, feel free to comment in this metrics dashboard startup screen issue. Actually, I should probably come up with a better name for this. It doesn't really reflect the whole thing because it's not just about the startup screen. But yeah, you can comment there with your ideas around dashboard templates.
Great. Thanks for that, Nadia. Dove, you have the next topic.
Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah,
It
sure.
looks like Andre had a question on Slack, on the Zoom chat. I wanted to make sure that got addressed.
Yeah, thanks.
Andre, did you want to verbalize your question?
Oh, yeah, about showing that I heard that it's hard to convey that a dashboard is read-only, the main dashboard, and seeing that this default dashboard is the starting point and the user doesn't know yet that there's the possibility to edit something. Maybe we can show the edit button in a disabled state to both show that this is read-only and that there is a slight possibility at some point if the user changes something for it to be editable. Like if he adds a custom dashboard, that would be editable. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just a slight, small idea.
Yeah, no, totally. It's a great idea. And actually, I explored it in the wireframes. So it was one of the options that we looked at. And I have an issue that I'll be working on 13.2 to flesh out those designs and to to decide exactly what it's going to look like and how many different things we need in the UI to make it clear. But I think there are pros and cons to having a disabled button, but yeah, I agree that we could do that.
Right? Because this kind of shows the absence of editability, and it's also accessible in if you want to address accessibility. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point.
thanks.
Thanks.
Cool, I can go next. So there were several questions from the team here. I mean, after we had our roadmap discussion, the high-level roadmap discussion last week, and even prior to that, but who's our target audience and who are we building the solutions for? So I created an MR and based on some comments that I got from Clement and Kevin, I also update this MR. And you can read it through, but just like a quick summary. So obviously, I do believe that in a period of 1 to 2 years, we can make GitLab a preferred choice for the day-to-day monitoring tool for cloud native. I think we should focus on small and medium businesses today because of multiple reasons. One of them, we focus on cloud native, and small medium businesses are more likely to move to be cloud native. Actually, I just had a chat with a preparation call with one of the large customer that they are moving like 10% of their infrastructure to Kubernetes, only 10% in 2021. And they are talking about something like 5,000 servers. 5,000 servers, like 10%, and it's on Kubernetes. So we are seeing this more and more. I mean, large enterprise are still to some extent are like in the old way of managing applications, and they are now just moving into Kubernetes. So every time you're in a call with this kind of customer, they are asking you, okay, great, Kubernetes is nice, some experiment that we are running. What can we do for us for other like traditional monitoring solution? And obviously we fall short there in light of the competition. Obviously we are doubling down on cloud native because we know that it is one of the fastest growing market in IT today. You know, just Google it, you can find a handful of articles talking about it. And, you know, we know that GitLab is positioned in the space, and a lot of our customers are actually moving to GitLab because we are doubling down on cloud native. We know that we are focusing on developers and DevOps engineers because we know that developers in this segment probably take like more tasks than just being a developer. Sometimes a developer is more than that. He's also like a release manager and also in charge of monitoring their application, and it makes sense to address them. And obviously, in terms of spending budget, small medium businesses less willing to spend budget on expensive monitoring systems, so they are more open-minded of having a discussion with like an open source solution because our monitoring is free. And to some extent, a lot of large enterprise, when they hear about open source solution, they think it's something that it's a bit immature. This is, by the way, a strategy that the large vendors are doing. They are doing a lot of fads around open source, and they are treating open source and like free features as some sort of a nice experiment that they don't have any enterprise that is backing them. Although the trend in the market is changing, and I think that even with the effect of COVID and basically the trends that we see in the market, companies are more willing to have a discussion about open source solution because they realize that to some extent it is the future. And we are also seeing large enterprises that are adopting open source standard, but still small and medium businesses are more willing to have a discussion with those type of solution. And obviously, if we go to that strategy, it means that we're less likely to compete head-on with established vendors. And we know that we do fall short in terms of our feature capabilities and our feature parity. If we go against like Datadog, New Relic, AppDynamics, all of those large enterprises that they have all the bells and whistles, because this was their primary goal and primary business, and they have like hundreds of developers that are only working on this. So in light of this, I think this is why we've selected those as our targeted customer. Having said that, over the last couple of iterations, we are building features for our internal SRE team. And we do that from several reasons. One of them is, first of all, we do see them as a target audience in the future. So when we are building it, it's always good to have a discussion with them, at least to understand what they need to do and how can we solve the problem. Secondly, dogfooding is a value that we have here in GitLab, and we would like to make sure that our infrastructure team will be successful with using our tools, because we know that, Sid always saying there isn't any features that was successful unless people in GitLab start using it. And I do believe that if people will start using, will have internal customers that are using our features, then we'll get like good feedback, because at the end of the day, all discussions that I have with customers is just to get the right requirement. And if I have a customer that I can just Slack and say, hey, let's hop on a Zoom call and tell me what you think about this and that, then those discussions are valuable to us. So this is why we are building those solutions to our SREs. And once we'll see that we've succeeded with that and they are starting to use our tools, then we can move on and start building our tools, or shift the focus more toward other areas in the product that are more targeted to our main target audience. And of course, happy to take any questions on that. If not, hopefully everything was clear.
Okay. Any other comments? Otherwise, I just had more of an announcement to bring up that I'm thinking this meeting we could shorten to 25 minutes instead of 50, although today looks like we're gonna be longer than that. So maybe this is a little early for this, but I opened this issue so we can discuss further, but for the last few weeks or 10 weeks or something, we've not been using 15 minutes for sure. We've gone up to 30 or a little more a couple times, but so I just want to get everyone's feedback on that. So please add to that issue. And then I'll pass it on to Clement.
Cool. Yeah, it's just ironic. Every time we talk about shortening the meeting, we end up taking just as long. But anyways, yeah, so the topic we had is Prometheus training. I had a conversation with someone on the team wanting to do more training, and I think this would be beneficial for everyone who's interested. So Matt and I recently talked with Ben, who is part of the Prometheus team, and also works at GitLab. And there was a course that was identified as, you know, a good example of what we could probably try to do. It's probably around 4 to 5 hours worth of content, and want to see if there were interest in the group, and then we can try to see if we can get a group license. This is not necessarily like front end or back end. I think it kind of goes through a lot of the fundamentals and basics, from kind of how to gather your metrics and so forth. I'm not sure if Diraj has already done this before, because he sent me something related to this at one point, so maybe he did the free one. So what I'll do after this call is create an issue. I'll ping it on the Slack channel, and then if people are interested can chime in there. And then we can, yeah, sounds like from the doc that people are interested. So sounds like this is something we'll probably move forward with. Cool. Any comments on this? Okay.
I think this will be very useful for developers at least, because knowing how Prometheus works helps solving a lot of bugs. So yeah, thanks for this.
Awesome. Cool. Sounds like almost everybody will do this, so that's cool. And then the last announcement was just Jose's out this week, but I just wanted to congratulate him, and when he watches the recording, or whenever you see him the next meeting, congratulate him for becoming a front-end maintainer. Very exciting. Yeah, so he'll be back next week.
Great. All right. Does anyone else have topics they want to bring up? Okay. Well, good. Thanks, everyone. This was very useful. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of the week.